If you find gold, platinum, diamonds in your yard, by law, it belongs to the government. You cannot own that. That's the law. Very good afternoon and a warm welcome to the virtual Mkhukhu. And I emphasize a warm welcome because we're now getting into the slow grips of winter. Naminja was dealing with tonsillitis last week, if not the week before. I've been trying to keep it easy. I'm drinking lemon water. I couldn't get honey. I wanted to add honey as well. And a lot of people that have been following me on social media have been wishing me well and giving me all these remedies to enjoy at home. It's the virtual Mkhukhu, of course. Please don't forget, if you're new to us, please don't forget to click on the subscribe button. Don't forget to click on the notification bell as well, so that every time we drop an episode, you are aware. Today we're filming from Oxford Parks in Rosebank, a very beautiful mixed purpose residential property space, which looks something like Alice Lane in Sandton. Very beautiful property that we're moving into in the future. And in particular, we're at a restaurant called 011 or 011 Gin and Eatery, which is in Rosebank. And we want to just send a shout out to the guys that work here, to the guys that allowed us to film here. We're very thankful for allowing us to be here and to, I don't know, just to enjoy the space, to enjoy the food, and to enjoy the vibe. I'm hambing out, of course. I'm hambing no Sbusiso Liope. DJ Sbu.
Mr. Penuel, the Black Pen, how are you, my brother?
I'm all right. How are you, brother?
I'm blessed and highly favored. I'm blessed and grand and top. Togozil. I can't complain, my brother.
How's your week been?
Great. What did I do? Long weekend.
Yeah.
Spent the past weekend emceeing. I was emceeing a daddy and daughter poiki course cookery day.
That's definitely not Iskolo Saselukshin.
At my daughter's school. It was really great to also see new parents. Geez, like, new parents are young people, eh?
Yes.
They're young people.
Hey, Baba, I think it's better for you. It's worse for me. Because I remember when my first born Unkonzi used to go to school and he'd tell me about the school teacher. Man sang figure scale, mina ngithi ngizobingelela uthisha. Ubo no man, ngathi siyalingana nalo. Masubuza, how old's your teacher? Oh no, she's 32. You're like, come on. Young.
Yeah.
Teachers are young.
But it's beautiful. I mean, I met a lot of parents. Some I knew. When I saw them, what are you doing here? Oh no, my daughter now goes here, or my child now goes here, type of thing.
Yeah.
You know? So it was really great to connect with other dads and just MC an event. And I was just looking at that list of sponsors at the end as the MC, just thanking the sponsors who are participating on the day. And I was like, wow, man, I remember Ekasi and, having run an education foundation for many years, how we would struggle to just get one of these. I'm talking about a list that I would be thanking of sponsors and like big name companies.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm like, just so many sponsors, man. This is at my daughter's school. I'm imagining if, I remember you guys asked us a question. You asked us a question, I think, about 7 or 9 episodes ago when we were at the Vibe Gaming.
Yeah.
When you're asking, would I send my daughter to a township school?
Sure.
I was thinking, if my daughter was going to a township school and I was emceeing, would I be looking at the same list of sponsors at her school
Never.
if it was at a township?
Never.
And the answer is never.
One of the things, by the way, I have to say this because it's close to my heart. Thank you so much for being a present father in your daughter's life. We need more guys to be present. We need more guys to speak openly about being present. I know there's a bunch of women who, I don't know if it's just bad education, who almost bash men who celebrate being fathers. And they're like, we're not going to thank a fish for swimming. No, you have to thank a fish for swimming because there are so many fish that are not swimming. So we need to normalize present fatherhood, fathers that are doing their best, especially, we speak about boys, but especially with girls. A big reason a lot of our daughters grow up and they end up having funny habits and hobbies and end up searching for love in really old men is because they didn't get that from their fathers. So thank you so much for that from me to you and all the squatters and the hustlers as well who are present dads.
I would love to be more present, but the dynamics. The dynamics, it depends on one's life, right?
Sure.
But also because of the traveling a lot and the type of work that we do, I do feel guilty sometimes that I would love to have to have to spend more time with my daughter.
Yeah.
But I also do feel guilty about the fact that, one has to make money. I wish I would have to see my daughter njalo, and shout out to all parents who see their children every day. That is such a blessing. I know some of you guys take it for granted, or maybe you don't, I don't know. But yeah, it's a
tough one. It's a tough one. We'll have to speak about it, I hope, at some point. So one of the criticisms I get, for example, is I have children from 4 mothers. So by default, I'm not going to spend as much time with them as I'd like. Number 2, they scattered currently, Durban, China, Newcastle. So by default, again, I won't see them. But you think of a situation where with they live with their 3 kids, but either the father or the mom have such demanding careers. They're constantly out of town. They're constantly at conferences at work. They only knock off at 8. The children maybe might be sleeping. And how to work around that and how to find cheats. As an example, things like if you know you're going to be at work till 9 in the evening, maybe record videos and then share them on a YouTube channel, a private, where you only send it to your kids, or send them WeTransfer or via Zoom, where you catch up with your kids. Like, look for cheats, because the reality is you will not get to spend as much time with your kids as you like. You could be umuntu osebenza esibhedlela, night shift. You actually don't even get to see your kids, because by the time they get home after extramurals, you're getting ready via. By the time ubuye ekuseni sebebuyele esigele, on the weekend, stokfela, isonto, you have to do shopping, you have to do banking. So how do you have cheats for some of those things? I hope we'll speak about it at some point.
And I want to be better this year. I think I've been bad this year. I think of all of the years of parenting, the first, January, February, March, the first 3 months of this year have been bad.
So you want to improve?
Yeah, I want to improve. I want to improve my score. I haven't been a great dad this year. And I like the fact that we're speaking about it. I want to be more involved. It's good that we are speaking about it so we can all check ourselves as dads. And when you know your rate at how much of a great father you can be, and how much more present you can be.
Sure.
Especially if you don't have any dramas with the co-parenter.
Yes.
I don't. We've got a really great co-parenting relationship. So it's just me on my side. I don't think I've been the best this year. So I want to be better.
That's dope.
So I'm gonna improve. So the next 3 quarters, I'm gonna improve. The first quarter of the year, I've been bad, and I'll take that. And I want to say that to all other dads who haven't been as great, just like me, let's improve.
Sure. And don't ever let anyone dictate for you what is a good father and what's not.
Yeah.
This is your own scorecard.
Yeah.
It's not because the mother said. It's not because Obanbani said. It's because you're saying, I know I can do better.
And I also want to give props to the mother of my child. She's incredible.
Sure. That's dope.
She's a dope mother. And you know that it's a dope mother. She's a dope mother by the type of child that you guys are raising.
Yeah.
So every time when I look at my daughter, I always marvel at the type of parents she has. We love it. We love it dearly. I appreciate the type of mothering that my daughter is getting as well.
I hope at some point when I shout out to my kids, I'll be able to shout out to their moms as well. Like directly, and say their names. Hey, Nyabonga, Banban, Banban. But I out of respect for them, they've said, look, it's fine. You can speak about the kids, enjoy time with the kids, but Tina's keep it. I'm fine with not being known and living my own private life.
Sorry, while we're there, I keep on cutting you. When we had an episode with Penson, Penson speaks about, he gives props to the mother.
Yes.
And then he says, I'm that dad who'll just take a picture and put it on Instagram, and everybody, you're great.
You're such an amazing father.
And I'm only just doing the 5% parenting. The 95% is the mother.
Yes.
I'm one of those as well. As much as I'm doing my thing, majority of the time is the mother who's doing a great job. And that's why I'm giving her the flowers that she deserves.
Thank you.
Because she's an incredible mother.
Thank you.
So I'm just like Penson, who says...
influencer dads that look good on social media.
The time you're with your child, you make sure it's on social media and whatever. And I've been also called out by the mother at some point. And sometimes...
Hey, I didn't know.
Sure. No. But jokingly, I'm not one of those. I'm not parenting for social media.
Yeah.
And I stopped a long time ago populating my daughter on socials. It's because it's an agreement that both parents we had. I had a different view because I was telling her, this is years ago. I said, but we have to grow her social media while she's still young.
Yeah.
Because one day this is a platform she will need. It's growing at an astronomical rate. Because it's like, how many 10,000? This is when it was just new. Like 10,000 people following a child. No. And then later on, after we had agreed, I sort of, with everything that's happening in the world, I sort of am on her side.
Sure. You understand the risk.
I don't populate my children on social media as much as I used to.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's sad. Yeah, I will speak about it another time.
Yeah.
It's sad because if we're not posting our kids on social media and us with our kids, it's almost like we're not present. And when we do, it increases the risk of something happening to them, or funny people posting negative comments, which if ever your child reads them might upset them. Yeah, it's a mixed bag. I want to speak about too,
also,
sure.
Social media, internet things live on forever.
That's the other problem. Presley, Chweneyagae, I'm not sure how to pronounce his surname. Presley, who was a superstar in Tsotsi, now is a co-breezy on the river. Sensational actor in South Africa. He was on...
oh, no, I know Presley.
Presley,
Shout out to Presley.
He's a sensational actor and he's become one of our favorites. Anyone who watches The River or to Cobra or Co-Breezy will know. So Papgeld is a show on Moja Love which tracks parents that don't pay maintenance for their children. And he was on that show and he was being tracked. I haven't watched the episode, so I have to apologize if I misunderstand what I saw in the clips. But he was being followed by the presenter for not paying. He was refusing to respond. Some people think that it was just a, what's it called when it's set up, you know? Because they're like, but you're supposed to sign a consent form, which is another conversation we need to have. That a lot of these shows that you guys watch out there, we are Jola 99, people's consent has not been asked. So it's a violation of their privacy. Some of them, when you see the stuff, it's in their private homes. So it's almost a form of trespassing, etc. I don't want to discuss gossip. I don't like gossip personally. I don't want to discuss Presley's situation with his, I think it's a 16-year-old child, and any lack of maintenance that the mother brought. I just wanted to speak about, because it's sensitive to me, the idea of maintaining your children, especially for a man. And I wanted to raise a couple of points. The first one is this, and people will comment and say whatever they want to say. We do not have a fair situation where if a man is not ready to be a father, he has an opt-out option. Women legally are allowed to opt out, not ready. The night after, you and I as a woman, we decide to be intimate, babe, I'd like to have a child. Okay, let's have a child. I'm ovulating. The next morning, I'm tips. So I'm not ready. We have a shy morning after, because the morning after allows you 72 hours. We have a shy morning after. If she ever decides and you wake up the next morning, you're not ready. She's like, no, I want to have this child. We agreed. If ever within, I think 4 months, she can still decide, I want to abort. I'm not ready to be a mom. You can't force her to abort. It's her body at the end of the day. After she has the child that you were not ready for, you now have to raise this child legally. It's fine. You decided, and you know when you raise these things, women are like, yeah, but if you're not ready to have a child, use a condom. No one says that to women. If you're not ready to have a child, be on a contraceptive. The woman still has the morning after. She still has the abortion. Guys don't have that. So in a situation like Presley, there are many men out there who cannot abort, cannot use morning afters. Some of them are chance, obviously. Charity, shaiti, it's a to say morning after. Other people use more sinister ways of conimity that people use. Sissy has a miscarriage and she thinks it was spontaneous. Or his side chick or someone who forgets something in her food or her drink. Now the child is born and you guys have to maintain. Part of the issues that you have is and the woman comes and she wants to take him to maintenance court. When you look at this woman, agaspani, agananyuku, uqashe ngekhadi lasesasa. Me and you, man and woman, both of us don't have money. Why are you taking me to maintenance court? Could be a situation where the guy is sending money, but the woman feels it's not enough. Oh, from the girl's side of the family. When I was whatever the case may be. And we've got these dynamics where children are suffering because, number one, there are deadbeat dads who don't contribute financially, who are bad people. It's fine. There are guys who are not contributing because they don't have money. And we need to help those guys understand how they can contribute, because you can maintain your child without you. Whatever you know is part of contribution. Spending time with your child is a part of contribution. Helping your child learn how to plant vegetables is contribution. Teaching your child how to play diski, to play soccer or rugby or whatever is a form of contribution. Taking your child, and this is where women fall short, giving the child to the father and saying, I know you don't have anything, but hamba na yegini. Mhlawumbe uma wakho's got something. Thawu yazi khona impahla zasibusiso engayibeka le phezulu kwi-trunk. As a child, awuyibambe, at least there's clothing. Ugogo mhlawumbe akhiphe i-cross ukuthi hayi mawusubuyela kini ke bamba nama tea bags. Take the child and go and spend time with your family. That's a form of contribution. So there's those conversations. But the bottom line is when we do these things of taking video cameras to highlight things, but there's almost no follow-up and we're not having the right conversations. And all we're doing on social media is bashing. And you're like, let's have a deeper conversation on the why. If it's true, is it even true? Did the mom go through the right channels? And besides umama no baba, where are the rest of the family members?
I'm confused. So he hosts a show.
No.
That.
So there's a show on Mocha Love called the Papgeld, where there's a host. I'm not sure of this gentleman's name.
Oh, it's not to put to
No, it's not to Presley.
Okay.
No, it's not to Presley. People write in and they say this parent, mostly fathers, I've gone to court, I've spoken to Marai only for whatever reason. So this show goes in to intervene. So to find out
it's not him who's the chup of the show.
No, he's not the host of the show.
Also, he was featured on the show.
He was featured on the show as a father who is not maintaining his child.
On. So did he consent to that?
We don't know. Because he wasn't speaking. They were asking him questions on the show.
So show like Iyajola 99, but
called the Papgeld, yes.
Wow, I haven't seen it, and I don't want to lie. Because the last time when I said to you guys, I had not heard about
Thabo
the Thabo Pesta story.
You got dragged.
Lot of you guys were saying in Namang, I got dragged. Guys, we live our lives differently. I mean, as soon as I finish shooting, sometimes sometimes the platforms that we consume stuff on, you know what I mean? Like sometimes angazi.
Yo, and really I was. We don't have enough time and energy to watch every episode of every podcast, every Generations and Gomorrah episode. Yeah.
Oh, that's bad. Then now he's being on this show as a
deadbeat that doesn't maintain.
Oh man, no. So bamnyonyobele ngamakamera angazi.
So one of the things that people are raising was, you guys want to defend Presley because he's a celebrity, but what about other fathers who are not celebrities? Defend Nabo as well. Nabo mhlambe they didn't consent. Nabo mhlambe they have some dignity. Nabo mhlambe they have a story to explain.
Presley, go sue them. If I was you, I was gonna go sue them. That is very, very detrimental to the man that he is and what he represents. Because we don't even know if it is true. If bamnyonyobele ngamakamera for such an accusation.
Sure.
And then because we are Jola 99, then it would be the girlfriend or the boyfriend who would have called them. So are you saying in this issue, is it the family of his children?
It's the mother of the child.
Oh, the mother.
Yeah.
The baby mother.
Yeah.
It's
sensitive, Lishandisa.
It's sensitive. Let's not.
And it's so complex. I'm raising it again, not because Mfuni Kwasib no kuluma Presley. He just happens to be a celebrity that we know, a celebrity that we watch on TV, and it's raising this concept of, number one, these shows that don't ask for consent, because people don't know their rights. And I'm hoping some of the squatters and the hustlers who have legal minds are going to say, but guys, it's not allowed. You can actually sue. And this is the law out there. They cannot put out a show without your consent.
How do they do
Number
that,
one.
though?
Because abantu abaningi abazi, and we're speaking about people abahlala emakhaya abayihluphekelayo. Uzohlaza on camera and you don't even know your rights, you know. Number two, then we have to speak about in situations where mothers, of course, are not getting the father's attention, where the courts are failing the mom. What are we meant to be doing? And more importantly for me, because I've got a similar case, I've got a situation where I don't have access to my son, Uzulu. I've got videos on social media. I've been failed by the courts over many years. I could go to a show like Papgeld and be like, "How do you see mama?" But I've chosen to not do that out of respect for her and her family, etc. For a long time, I never even mentioned her name, even when I told my story. Because some females would say, it's disgusting, it's disrespectful to the mother of your child. What is your child going to say? And I'm like, I fully understand what you guys are saying. But you need to understand, I've gone through all the right channels. I've gone to her family, I've gone to the courts. I'm still not seeing my son. I've been accused of being a deadbeat by people that don't even know me. So in a situation like that now, do you go and broadcast with, no, here's the mother? Kind of situation. And the most sensitive thing which I want to raise, because these are the things that are breaking society. Yeah, but when we speak about poverty, when we speak about children that are on drugs, when we speak about the fact that we don't have businesses, the fact that we don't support each other, the fact that politically there's corruption, it starts with these small things of Ekayagini, what is the situation? Because I want to bring it all the way back to you and your daughter, that you are a present father that's there. There are fathers that cannot be present for various things that have not been resolved. Where are the families? Because you want to know where are the families. Back in the day, which is meant to be done now, when a girl falls pregnant, not married, it was a process. And the reason it was done was so that it is known that there's a pregnant girl and this is the potential father or the father of the child. And he has to acknowledge ownership. Now that he acknowledges, that means he's going to have to maintain the child and he's going to have to pay a penalty called intlawulo for getting a girl pregnant without marrying her first. But the whole point of the families coming together is if anything happens, you don't have to go to court. You don't have to go to shows like Papgeld. The families come together and say, manje kwakusekwenze njani ufika go Hustlers Corner ama podcast nizodiscussa lento. Yindaba lento ningayixazululanga as umndeni. Asihlale phansi ixazulule lento ngoba there's a child involved and lengane izokhula ilimele in some way. And tomorrow lengane mayisiyenza ama crime mayisiyenzi kodwa hayi we don't know why. We know why. It's because from a young age this child didn't have a relationship with their father. From a young age this child's father was not paying maintenance. From a young age the mother of this child was upset because she wanted to have a child. The father was not ready. She refused to abort. And it damaged her. Like, if we don't resolve these things at the root cause and with the right stakeholders, being the parents, this thing grows and it damages. By the time you get a Tabo pastor, who's a rapist, who's a murderer, no one knows with asking, was he getting time? When let's say as an example, Tabo pastor, soccer, rugby. Was his father there watching him, cheering him on? Was his mom there cheering him on? Maybe those are the things that led to the type of mindset where you've got a person who's luring girls via social media and raping them. And we need to have these conversations, and it comes through in stories like Lisa Presley. Good guys, we need to have these conversations. And in your family out there, because it's nice to speak about, I'm a celebrity, in your own family, you yourself, you are a father, you are a mother. Where's the mother or the father of your child? Do you guys have a good relationship? Are you guys contributing? And if they don't have money, are they contributing in other ways? As a mother of the child, are you releasing the child not just to the father, but to the father's family? Because it's not just Sbu. Sbu's got a mother. Sbu's got a father who also want to contribute into this child's life. He's got siblings. He's got cousins. He's got stakeholders, friends, who later on when your child is a sports star, an academic star, or your child needs a job, it might not be Usbu giving your child the job. It's going to be all the people that Usbu has introduced to your child.
Sorry, it's fine.
Come through with it. No,
let's show him some love, man. Sure. Hola. Sure. Sorry. Okay.
Thank you so much. One of the waiters from 011 Gin and Eatery in Rosebank. So my point is, for the mothers out there who are not releasing their child to the father, it's not just the father. He's got an entire tribe, an entire community that wants to plow in love and skills and money and experiences to your child, and you're denying that child that thing. It's almost like ingani sejele. So it might not be you, it might be your sister who's denying the father access. And when you support to siswako, but you're destroying your niece or your nephew. Could be your brother who's not maintaining ingani yakhe ngoba yena hey, you know that girl Chweneyagae. No, Baba, it cannot be. So it starts with each and every one of us reaching out to our siblings, to our parents. It could be your father who's got children out there that he's not contributing to. And now we are too long to support the old lako because the old lako is angry. Hey, ubaba wakho neingane ngaphandle. No. there's some damage that's happening to those kids because they're not being brought into the family. So we need to fix some of those things. And I'm raising it because, again, personally, it affects me and it affects so many other people I know. And if we're not fixing these things, it brings up stories like Utabo Pesta. You were dragged. And it's another learning moment. Guys, social media. Don't trust everything you see and read on social media, number one. Number two, we have long format episodes here where we speak for an hour, 2 hours. And when someone is going to be sneaky on Twitter, on Instagram, and take a 30-second clip, maliciously so, and then you guys go and you jump on it, refusing to go and get the context, you become part of the problem. I'm not going to mention this Twitter person's name, but there's a person on Twitter who went and posted a clip of Usbu saying, Utabo Pesta is cool. That guy is a king, because Usbu had not heard the story at the time. And he was saying, if there's a prisoner who is trying to change their life, who is in prison trying to motivate people and getting paid for motivating people, there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But he had not heard the full context of Utabo Pesta, that this guy was a rapist, a murderer, that he was scamming people. And he said in that episode, guys, angazi, please school me. I don't know. And some of the people in the comments on Twitter were saying, but you're taking this out of context. Why don't you show the whole thing? The person responded and said, I don't want to. Which means maliciously, they knew they were trying to sabotage. And everyone else, what, and you're like, you guys are part of the reason we have this horrendous and toxic mob that we have. I don't know if you'd like to say something else before I speak about Utabo Pesta some more.
No. Let's continue with...
And maybe the point just in closing about Presley and fatherhood.
Yeah, no, I really would like to encourage all of us as fathers to be more present and check ourselves. I mean, for the past 3 months, I don't think I've spent as much time as I did all the other years, obviously because of work. But I think I'm checking myself.
Yeah.
3 months.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be 3 years.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a whole year. It shouldn't, you know what I mean? So as Amachita, we are living this thing called life. Let's remind ourselves, like when ulala kanjani, awucabangi ingane yakho and all those things. But it doesn't mean ukuthi awuyikhumbuli ingane yakho. Yes, we know, yeah, ucabangi ingane yakho, uyayikhumbula ingane yakho, but let's check ourselves. So as we continue life, let's keep on checking ourselves. If you feel you haven't been the best dad maybe this year, try and correct that. And that's where I'm at, Mina, this year. I think based on my own scorecard and how I score myself, I'm going to be even much better in the next 3 quarters.
Yeah.
You know? But Mina Vela, I am a part of my daughter's life. I love my daughter, and I'd like to encourage other dads to do the same to their kids as well. Another
important thing is joining groups that hold your values. You met one of the gents from Dope Dads.
Yeah.
I remember we spoke about it.
Yeah,
so
Musito in New York.
Yeah.
He spoke so highly of you that he's part of a group that I think you are also a part of. And by the way, I'm really sorry about your situation.
And
I'm sorry for other guys who are going through similar stuff that you're going through with their children. Hari Bafet. Some of you guys don't know it's not you. I'm really sorry. I think the best advice I can give you is use the law. Use the law. And when you're saying the courts have failed you, are you saying, have you tried going the court route? Have you failed? What has happened there? Because when the child is older, they don't know the back and forth that the parents had. They're like, but Dad, why didn't you fight for me?
Of course.
Why didn't you use the courts?
Before we speak about Utabo Pesta,
yeah.
I'm not going to give my full story. I'm going to say this. I've made 4 videos. I think it's 4. There might be a 5th one now. Zulu Khosi. Khosi. Zulu Khosi Mlotshwa. That's my son's name. Full name with my surname. I've made videos explaining my story. I have spent a lot of time with Tamatime, not just my own. And I have seen how society paints this narrative about a lot of our fathers and grandfathers who, due to circumstance, weren't around. A big part of that circumstance was colonization and apartheid. Tamatime had to come to Amagoli to come and dig for gold to enrich a minority elite. A lot of them had to work on farms and in factories. So our fathers and grandfathers were absent, not by choice, but by isimo. So similarly today, there are a lot of fathers who are absent, not by choice, but by isimo. Could be, babechola no mama, bahlukana for whatever reason, and now he's not there, but mama won't let him. When I'd ask, why have you never told this story? One of them is to protect the dignity of umama, wengane. So ubaba ufela ngaphakathi because he's trying to protect umama. Number two, it's because it was frowned upon. My child, baba, come on. A lot of them they're like, you know what, I was depressed for so long that I ended up just letting it go. And I told myself, I will tell the stories of many men and fathers that have been done wrong when it comes to their kids. And when I found myself in the same situation, I said, I will definitely not keep quiet. So I will not bash the mother. I will try and retain her dignity, of course. She's a human being. She's got her own reasons for doing whatever she's doing. But I will fight as hard as I can for my child because I don't want my child to be a statistic, which he is now. I've been going to court since my boy was 1. Randburg, Pretoria, Newcastle. We've had many magistrates. I think we're on our 3rd parenting plan now, which the mom has violated many times. We've had lawyers involved, pro bono lawyers. And I do not believe that the magistrates that I had enacted the law the way they should have. They were meant to be warrants of arrest. They were meant to be forced investigations. I went with 3 different police officers to the home who were meant to follow the law. It's a violation of children's rights. Who, out of fear of wrongful arrest and those things, they decided to be like, still look again. And eventually I needed to go to the High Court. I decided not to. I went to social media because we have the privilege now of telling our own stories. I don't need a mainstream media channel to tell my story. I don't need to be interviewed in a mainstream newspaper. I can take my phone and tell my story in real time, and I decided to do so. And I think my story has given a lot of, especially young guys, healing. But I've been surprised at how many women out there don't have access to their kids.
Are you serious?
Because at the time, she was struggling. She gave the child to the father. The father went and got married. And now the father and his wife refuse for mama to see the child. I've had so many success stories of gents who have sent me voice notes crying. Messages, pen, I'm on my way home with my child. I didn't know that this could ever happen. And look, it would get me emotional and teary-eyed. But I was like, maybe I was being punished by the universe because I needed to serve a higher purpose. And I'm grateful to everyone who has found a way to unite with their children because of my story. Some of the guys had given up. And because of my story, they were like, look, as much as the courts failed to pen, let me start there. Because he still says, start there. After the family. You have to start with the family, by the way. If umdeni is like, hi, tina singeni, then go to the courts. Some of them have won. And some of them win at the family stage. They're like, hey, this girl's parents said they didn't know that this was happening. They thought to me, and you're like, thank you for taking that step. Some of the women have said, Pen, thank you so much. I wasn't aware of the other side. I've reached out to my child's father. You know, we're meeting up this weekend. We're doing, etc. So, I'm trying to fix society the best way I can with my own story. I get bashed. It's fine. There are people that don't understand. There are a lot of horrible fathers out there who swear at the mothers of their kids, who refuse to maintain even though they have money. I'm not here to defend those guys. I'm one of those people who are like, no, those guys, some of them, that's a violation of children's rights. You can't send them to a space like that. But as a mother, you mustn't just take that decision on your own. You must get the families involved and say, etc. My child is not in a safe space. And let them intervene and investigate. Don't just make a decision without an investigation, because it could just be a story. It could just be someone trying to destroy a narrative. And matters of the heart are so sensitive, and they lead to some type of mental illness where Besjola, we had intimate sex, we had a child, we were there during pregnancy, the child is born, and all of a sudden, I cheat, I have another woman, and you as a woman, you lose your mind. And you want to punish me. You can't beat me. When you swear at me, you're blocker. So the only thing that's left is to use my child. And you're like, one way or another, I want him to feel pain. And how you make me feel pain is by not having access to my child. So we're dealing with a lot of issues, relationship issues that we need to fix and heal. And even after you found the other parent, it's not a happily ever after Disney movie. Kusaspano. sazosetshezwa, your baby mama usazojola, mhlawumbe usazoshada nawe. There's going to be issues of, but your woman swore at my child. There's so many dynamics, but we need to keep working. And if you can go for therapy, if the families can come in, and especially if you have wise elders. I read a story on Twitter of, I think it may have been in Zimbabwe. Someone said, I was part of a lobola crew that went to go and pay lobola to this family. The father asked for $5,000, which I think is roughly about 90,000 rand. After we agreed to pay the 5,000, I think he took 2,000. He gave them back 3,000, and he said, "This is going to be for my children to start their life, or whatever the case may be." There are fathers out there who are saying things like, "Wozani sihlangane, let's meet as families, let's speak about this thing, but I'm gonna set a price. But after I've set the price, I don't want any of the money. The money is going to be for the children. I want to make sure that the children have the ability to raise this money, and then we as the family will put in money for the wedding. This money that you've raised is for you to go and start your life." Those are wild elders. There are elders that are like, "Okay, I'm such old, it's fine. Angeke ngishade, it's okay. But there's a child here, there's a family here, there's relationships here. So let's try and heal them. Maybe my daughter is problematic. I will take it as the mom and say, Mfanami, rather let me speak through your mother. Because I can see the issue here is between you and the mother. But I will speak with your mother and we'll deal with the grandchild in a certain way. For the sake of healing. You guys, Nani, go for therapy. If you can, go for a walk. Go for a weekend away and try and resolve some of these issues, because we know what this does to society at large. So I think I'll stop there with regards to that.
I'm sorry about that, my brother.
No, thank you.
How do you feel?
I broke in 2018. We're in 2023 now, 5 years later. I broke. What that means is, if I was not strong of mind, if I did not have money, if I did not have an amazing support base, if I didn't have other children that I loved very much, I could have been one of the statistics of being a guy who got very deeply depressed and considered maybe harming the mother or taking my own life. I counseled a gentleman around those years who was dealing with financial issues. His business collapsed. He owed money to investors. He was not seeing his child. We sat down, we spoke. A week thereafter, he was part of the community of dope dads. He was trying to tell his story, and some of the guys were not understanding his story. They were like, "No, but melu onje." And I'm like, "Guys, it's not as easy as you're saying." A week after I met with him, he took his life. There's a lot of men who take their lives because of what we call parental alienation. And it's not just, there are people that don't understand these issues. It's not just, you'd kill yourself because you don't see your child. No, it's not that easy. It's... Imagine this. Imagine this example. You are not gaining access to your child. You're angry. And in your anger, you decide to run. And you run into the street. What was the cause of death? I will say, no, he was running because he was angry because of his child. No, but that's an external object. There are internal things in your mind where you get so angry that your brain, it almost collapses on itself. It's like your phone freezing. So your brain does the same thing. And in that time when your brain collapses, your frame of mind is not in a normal state. You can pick up a knife and stab someone. You can go and buy a rope and hang yourself because you're not in the right state of mind. How I explain this to people is, in that state of what we call insanity, for some, it lasts a split second. Your phone is not working. It's a split second, it's a phone, it's okay. Or you punch this table and you harm your hand. It's a split second. After that, you wake up. For some people, it lasts longer, that moment of insanity. You can take the phone and keep banging it. You're like, Baba, isipugile. And you're like, I'm still angry. For some people, you look at a situation like the lady who stabbed Uflaba to death. I think it may have been 19 times. You don't have to stab a person 19 times. It means during that period, it took her 19 stabs to snap out of whatever she was in. She could have stabbed him 50 times. She could have stabbed him once and snapped out and be like, yo, hey. So what happens with guys when they're in that moment of mental breakdown, they're like, since no one is hearing me, since the courts are failing me, since my own family is telling me leave it alone, And I tried to grab my child and they were screaming, Baba, I miss you. Baba, I broke. In 2018, what broke me was I was in a car after speaking to the police about opening a case against the mom. And I was with my son Nkunzi and his sister Africa. We were meant to fetch uZulu for the weekend. On our way driving home after I'd failed, I look in the rearview mirror and I see Nkunzi crying, looking out the mirror. And I ask him, Nkunzi ukhalelani? He's like, I miss my brother Zulu. You know, and I was fine, but that broke me. Because I was like, this is the damage. This is the damage. Because uZulu's getting hurt. He's got a half sister. I don't know what impact that's got on her. Nkunzi now is catching hits from this. I'm catching hits. My family, my brother used to cry whenever he'd see uZulu, the times he'd visit. My sister, the damage because of a woman there and potentially her family who, for whatever reason, think it is best to deny a child access to their father. I was with the police 2 years ago in Newcastle at her home, standing with the mother of my son and her mother, asking, in everything that's happening here, you guys just don't want me to parent my son. It's not a matter of money. I've never laid hands on your daughter. It's not a matter of swearing at anyone. Anfuni ngikhulisa umfanami. That's all it is. And what happens with parental alienation is similar to what happens to breaking up with someone you're in love with. It's almost like your child is dead, but they are alive. You know they exist somewhere, but you can't access them. So that thing will fuck you up psychologically. But from that point, I've had depression 3 times. From that point, I've become very strong to a point where one of the controversial things I say is, for me to be a good father, I need to love my children less. What does that mean? It means if you love your children too much, you may take irrational decisions. Ingane yakho yentombazane, someone will slap her at school and when uzojaha to want to hurt the other child, which is wrong. It's children. You need to calm down and love your child less and be able to be like, why did they slap you? Why? Don't ask. No, you must ask. So with uZulu, I'm like, the best thing for me to do is to not love him so much so that I don't make irrational actions where, like I said, some guys end up harming the mom. They end up harming themselves. So you need to take a step back. It's like a woman you love. She's trying to leave you. You don't want her to leave and you hold on and you cling to a point where ingane is like, angisakufuni. And I'm saying, Fethu, just love her less. Let her go. Usamthanda, sure, but umkhulule. She might come back, she might not, but just love her less. Because that is healthier for what's happening here. Because if you love her a lot, you won't want to let her go. And you might end up harming someone. So my kids in China, I love them very much. I might have sleepless nights if all I do is think about them and love them so much. I need to love them less so that it's healthy. So that if Nkunzi, I know he broke his arm at some point, to Africa at some point she chipped her tooth, I don't get emotional. Imagine, for mothers especially, the mother is in China, I'm in South Africa, you find out your son just broke his arm. They get angry. What were you doing? Why were you not there? What happened to my son? The daughter chips her tooth. No, you panic and just calm down. Like, okay, my daughter was playing with her friends. It's okay. It's okay. Just calm down. It's what we call emotional intelligence, high emotional intelligence. People call it being emotionless, but it's not true. It's just managing your emotions. What that means is you are as angry as the next person, but you are not acting on impulse. In the streets, and then you flip, shy. You're like, I'm as angry as you, but I'm gonna contain it here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that anger and go and record a song. I'm gonna take that anger and go punch a bag in gym. I'm gonna take that anger and you know what? Let me actually go educate white people on why being a racist is wrong. So it's managing your emotions.
I'm sorry once again, my brother.
Thanks,
I don't
bro.
even want to imagine it. I don't even want to have those thoughts on what you're going through.
You must. I'll tell you why you must. You must imagine it because we need to manage ourselves and the potential realities of life. I've got 6 children. I might have more. There's a chance that one of my kids could get hurt or pass away. Not now. It could be later. Saying and those are the realities of life. Our parents are gonna pass on. We've lost our fathers. Like, I'm not saying think about it every day, but it's just, hey, it's those things where let's have these conversations. So you're like, yeah, no.
Strength me out.
Thank you so much.
Be strong, my brother.
Thank you.
It's gonna turn around one day.
No, it has to. Within the next 3, 4, 6 years, hopefully he'll have his own social media and what, and he'll be like, "Extra time I'm here in town. Extra Antonas is 10." But part of why I'm managing myself is I don't want the day he comes to me or when he's 18, I'm so damaged by what happened that our relationship is strained. I'm so damaged that I hate his mom. I don't hate his mom. I don't. And I'm working actively on not. Because one day she might change. And when she changes, I mustn't harbor that resentment.
And she will,
you know? Yeah.
I know she will.
And I don't want my son 18 or whenever, if he give me, and say, fuck you. You don't even know how much I fought. I want to come down and be like, look, I understand why you're angry. Let's have a conversation. And even when he's like, no, you really wrong. I'm like, no. Don't be angry at your mom. She probably had her reasons, which may or may not be valid. You can decide, but it's not for you to judge umchezise. You can just decide, I don't appreciate what the old lady did, but it time got me to calm down and understand. Life is tough, life is long, and for whatever reasons, she did whatever she did. So I will need to be wise and strong and mature enough for him, for his mom, for my own family, and for anyone else who might have any resentment regarding. It's almost like Nelson Mandela and apartheid. You like, look at what white people have done to us, and you're like, I know. But if I let us live in that darkness, more people are going to get destroyed. And then we achieve nothing. So I need to heal us as the black nation. I need to heal the white nation, including their atrocities, and get them to understand why what they did was wrong. And I need to heal the people that we lost, the people that were killed, that were raped, that were tortured, that lost their land. Otherwise, we're never going to get anywhere. So for me, it's kind of the process that I'm going through.
And thank you. And once again, love and blessings to everybody else that's going through the same. And thank you for being brave to speak about it in public.
Thank you.
To also heal others. You know?
I've met too many timers with too many tragic stories. I meet too many guys. I counsel people, by the way. They can't work, they can't concentrate, they've gained weight, they've lost weight, all because of these things, and they are solvable. These are things that can be solved through a sit down. Some nice fried meat, a nice beverage with a percentage, just to calm the nerves. Just a conversation would change. If you look at CODESA, if you look at what people have achieved, like what we call peace negotiations, the world can change with a sit down and a conversation, but someone needs to, I actually see BP, someone needs to be the wise person and lower themselves and be like, I will be sworn at, I will be bashed, I will be called names, it's fine. As long as I know I'm trying to get healing here for our benefit. That's the moral of the story and the message.
So I didn't even know that I was dragged.
Hey, it was bad.
For Tabo Bester. But it's fine. I mean, I understand.
Sure.
I understand. This
also
is
Jimil as well, by the way. You've got thick skin.
I've been had thick skin since the Shwashwi days, since back in the day. So when you're dealing with me, you're dealing with a different type of individual. You know, Dallas Tuga. A lot of the things that a lot of you guys go through now is nothing compared to what a lot of us have been through.
But it doesn't mean it's not painful. But it doesn't mean it's not painful, guys. It's still painful.
So when you are in the podcasting game, and this goes for all the other podcasters, even if your content is speaking about trending topics, speaking about other people's lives, it will be ngawe ngelinye ilanga. And I'm not saying that's who we are. We don't have a gossip show. We've got an educational platform with Penuel. So I think one thing that you have to accept is that and I've heard Andrew Tate speak about this a lot on a lot of his interviews. Ukuthi, they will take some of the clips of the things that you say. Free top G.
He's out. Andrew Tate is out. Andrew and Tristan Tate, welcome back home. They're under house arrest, but they're out. Jeez.
As Scotty steering there. Whenever visit clip here, about the first video. You found him bamboo. You pay me cigar. They are actor.
Welcome home, Andrew and Tristan Tate. Welcome home, gents. Jeez.
Big up to gents like Tate, man. You know, voices like Penuel, like Abo Tate, Abo Note, and all these various voices. But this is only one in Fate. It's SAPC 1, 2, and 3.
It was never going to happen.
You know, it was never going to happen.
It was never going to happen.
It's just so nice to hear all these different voices. I'm not lying about Charleston White. Anyway.
No comment.
Nami, no comment.
Hey, Charleston White, bafethu.
Hey, bafethu.
Nyamazu Charleston White. Nsakhala ngonota. Nyamazu Charleston White.
No, you can't compare Nota to Charleston White. But anyway, what I wanted to say is that once you get into this game, you must understand that you will be quoted out of context. As Penuel was saying earlier, maliciously other people will do it, intentionally so, wanting you to get dragged, and you will get dragged. And you have to have a thick skin. And you have to understand the game that we're in. We're in long format content creation. And some people obviously will take snippets and they'll put it out there. And I mean, I'm always cool about whatever comes. And what I can't control, I'm at peace with it, you know? And I don't have problems with it. So whether I get hate, whether I get dragged, I really couldn't give a less. I couldn't give a hoot about it. Now I know about the Thabo Bester story.
Yeah.
I have followed it up and I have been concerned about our government and just even our prison system.
Yeah.
And I'm shocked to also find out, Tuguti, there are some politicians that might be involved in the case of him escaping from prison and being on his hideout. But I think one thing that as society we fail to look at is the other side of the story. What if, and this is a what if, might get dragged for this one also. What if the doctor lady is also a victim?
Sure.
What if he probably feels that now he's got no use for her anymore?
Yeah.
Because at first she was a good holiday front.
Yeah.
She had a great business, a great social media profile, a great profile in society.
Yeah.
Which was beautiful for the, you know, for the front, for the public to see.
Yeah.
But behind the scenes, whatever was happening. Whatever it might have been using her for.
Yeah.
Is now Shabalalat.
Sure.
Because now her reputation is under question. A lot of people are speaking bad about her. So she's
lost her medical license as well.
She's even lost her medical license. He probably does not have any more use of her as much as he did before. What if now he's turned her into a victim?
Sure.
What if she's a kidnapping victim?
She's a hostage.
What if she is a hostage? I don't think some of the things like that we're thinking about them because
she's got children, I think, from what I've heard.
From what I've heard as well. So what if she's another woman who is a victim?
Yeah.
Because according to the stories that we've heard, the brother has got a history of harming Abu Sisi.
Yes. But
it's just a question. I'm throwing the spanner to the works. What if?
If you guys have ever watched movies, man, I mean, speaking about theories, what if she controls him? And she's the mastermind of everything that he does, you know? I'm only saying this in a situation where we've had in the past females that are accused of being abused by their partners, and you find out later that this guy was actually protecting himself. Umuntu that's actually abusive and toxic was this person. With mina phela ngifundile, I'm clean. If ever people know who you are, so you must go out and do the dirty work. Mina, I'll remain clean at the back, but when I'm boys are those things, I'm the clean, you know, and females generally in society are normally protected, especially when they're pretty. And some of these ladies out there are vultures. But anyways, speak about government and the police raided his latest hideout in Hyde Park. Again, I have to highlight that Hyde Park is where leader of the EFF, Julius Malema, and leader of the ANC and the country, Cyril Ramaphosa, live. They were renting properties in Hyde Park. They raided it, and one of the questions I was asked is, but journalists raised this place weeks ago. Why are you guys only raiding the place weeks after? I travel a lot around some of the Lani suburbs in Joburg. Bryanston, Sandton, Abo Morningside, Sandhurst, some of the Westcliff, Parkhurst, very Lani neighborhoods. And I've been cracking this joke for many years now. Some of those homes and the high walls and some of those driveways that go far. I'm like, if ever you wanted to do human trafficking, this is where your hideout would be. Because I want back to Ekasi. Ekasi siyazi ukuhlala ubani kuphi le. Ekasi kuyazi ukuthi kuphuma ubani la. Kambu. In these neighborhoods where you don't hear anything, where it's quiet, the walls are so high, the houses are huge. Amapoyisa, it's the last place we think of going. And some of those people, when they drive in with their Range Rovers, black tinted, with their huge V-Class, you don't know what's happening in the back of that car and who's inside there getting moved into doing what. We always assume the people there have money and crime is Ekasi, and some of the crime is happening in those areas. And we're seeing it now because this is Hyde Park, very Lani suburb in Joburg, where criminals were staying, running dodgy enterprises. And who knows, some of these places, this is where girls are kidnapped, held, raped, drugged. Maybe some prostitution rings. We don't know. We've got Harvey Weinstein in America and some of these guys who have been committing atrocities in fancy homes, fancy islands. Some of the dark people in Joburg, we don't know what they're doing. But again, Amapoyisa and these guys, because they implicated in some way, weeks after journalists were at the house, Khan and Nanzo investigate. Actually, benimchela utai. Journalists you guys must run away quickly. And then we'll come later and pretend like, hey, we are investigating, we will see. And you're like, nah, you guys are not serious. Speak about crimes, Wish has closed down.
Durban.
In Durban.
Do you think because of their bad reputation of what happened?
Yeah, no, the guys who own and manage went on record to say, look, ever since the killing of AK and Tibbs, business has not been bad, has not been good, reputation. And I think just the sour taste. And I can imagine the hit, excuse the not nice pun, the hit on Wish with what happened is probably not just on Wish, but also some of the restaurants there on Florida Road. Florida Road, man, such a popular street, tourist destination in the country and in Durban. Who wants to be there now?
It happens. I think even in the past. I mean, I remember back in the day, we're gigging like crazy. We used to gig at a club called Sky Bar, which is just a street after Florida Road, but it's around the area, up the road. Sky Bar got closed down because somebody got shot also. It really messes up the reputation of the place. And it's not only there, it's everywhere else in the country. Where when a shooting happens, it does affect the place.
And it's not the owners. People are like, yeah, but the owners are rich, they'll open a club somewhere else. That can't provide for their kids. They are giants. They are mothers that work at these places that lose their jobs and can't feed their children. And when you see them on Papgeld and you're laughing, it's because of things like that. Toluguti, AKA was shot. Wish gets shut down. One of the male waiters there loses his job. He can't feed his child. Because he can't feed his child, the mother writes to Papgeld. Papgeld is chasing this guy, and you find out there's actually a vicious cycle of this was because some guys murdered AKA, that now this guy's being dragged because he can't feed his child. All because of crime, because of injustices, all because our society is decaying, sadly.
Eskom blocking communities on going off-grid, from going off-grid. Is that true?
One of my favorite lines these days is I've come to realize that all the big politicians and all the big business people in the world are thugs, and they're the biggest criminals on the planet. If they are not criminals themselves, they work with criminals. So the criminals could be their investors, some of their suppliers, some of the people that work with their distribution, some of the people that are security to ensure that they get to certain places. But these are the biggest criminals on the planet. Eskom is what we call a legislated monopoly. What that means is by law, you generally cannot compete with Eskom. Not because of any reason, but because the law says so. Ekasi is legislated to be the only authority where if you want a cell phone license, a broadcasting license, you have to go through them. You can't do it on your own. If you find gold, platinum, diamonds in your yard, by law, it belongs to the government. You cannot own that. That's the law. So I think what's happening with Eskom is, it's not just Eskom, it's obviously the lawmakers being our politicians and big business. We are speaking about alternative energy. They wanted to be the guys to issue the independent power producer licenses, so they have to come through them, of which I've said before, Patrice Motsepe from his brother-in-law, Jeff Radebe, got 12 of the 25. Johan Rupert under Graham Grow has got a license as well. So it has to be through them. And a lot of them are going to be producing power, but then selling it to Eskom. And then Eskom is going to sell it to municipalities. And then municipalities are going to sell it to us. You know, this is what we call mafias, boy. So now certain communities, you know, Orania is one of them. There are a couple of other communities. There's one where they didn't have power for 66 days. They decided to take action and they worked with a solar farm. And they started looking to go off grid. And Eskom said no, and they shut it down. So when that article came out, it came up that about 4 or 5 other projects similar around the country, communities are trying to go off grid, and Eskom is just frustrating the process. For people to be like, it's our land, it's privately owned land, we'd like to set up our own power. And Eskom comes with regulation. No, it's dangerous. No, you're still using some of our infrastructure. No, you can't. Because one of the arguments is, one of the communities, their power is so much cheaper than Eskom.
Sure.
And what's going to happen, for people that don't know, again, because we're dealing with capitalists, we're dealing with mafias, they will not let solar, gas, nuclear be so much cheaper than coal. They won't. It won't happen. There will be sabotage. The coal guys who are making money will ensure that all these other things don't work. Or through INERSA, which is the regulator, they'll make sure that, no, you are unfair. Your price needs to be what they call competitive. And even the guys that are doing solar, nuclear, they'll be like, we can't be that much cheaper if we want to make money. So we have to price maybe slightly cheaper or whatever. So that's the situation we've got going on in the country right now. We are being held by scrotum. We are being held ransom by the people that run this country, along with the biggest business people in this country.
I want to speak about 2 things before we wrap it up. I know we've gone on the parenting topic.
No, it's very important, and I'm happy we went on for long.
I'm actually glad we did
thank you.
because it affects both of us as well. We're both fathers, you know, and a whole lot of other fathers that are out there. There is a bill that is waiting to be signed by Museveni, the president of Uganda. An EFF had a march, I think it was a few days ago, about that bill that's about to be signed by President Museveni of Uganda. I would like for us to touch on that. And the petrol going down by 1 cent. I think then we can wrap it up with Naledi Pando's foreign relations utterances.
Yeah, I think we'll need to have another episode where we unpack homosexuality as a topic. Because just like the parenting one, it's very loaded and very layered. In the interest of time, I just want to thank the virtual squatters for their support constantly. We appreciate you guys, and I always want to send a shout out for all the comments. We read all of them, all the suggestions, and all the corrections. You know, sometimes must flop, but you guys correct. I saw some of the corrections down there. I saw some of you guys. There's someone from Kuwait, someone from Canada. I know a guy corrected me on LeBron James stats. We're really thankful, guys, and we appreciate it. We don't know everything.
Somebody corrected us on the Creed movie as well.
On Creed, that Michael B. Jordan actually directed, and it wasn't Ryan Coogler. Thank you so much. We appreciate you, you know, and the respectful way that you guys correct us and educate us, it really means a lot. So thank you, and thank you for the support constantly. Let me start with the petrol one. It's the easiest. I think there's someone that's psychologically trying to break the minds of South Africans. You know, psychological warfare is very powerful. And for newspapers to go out there and to say consumers will be relieved to hear that petrol will go down by 1 cent is very disrespectful and very triggering. When at some point petrol, I think, went up by 90-something cents. Ukuthi yeah, no sijwayelwa kabi.
Siphethwe ngesibhicongo.
Yeah. No, it's so look, I only wanted to raise that for the fact that it left a very bitter taste in my mouth that media would go out there. They didn't even need to report. They could have just said, look, petrol will go down by a cent. Not to have headlines saying consumers will be relieved. Yes, for fuck's sakes. So I just wanted to say that about that. Maybe Naledi and then the EFF and Museveni. Naledi Pando's got a really nice clip. I hope people will go check it out, where she was speaking as Minister of Foreign Affairs about the Russia-Ukraine issue. And just to summarize it, Naledi Pando is basically highlighting what a lot of us have been saying for months, if not years. There's insane hypocrisy from America and the West when they make demands of South Africa and other countries to pick a side. We must arrest Putin when it comes to South Africa. We must pick a side with Russia and Ukraine. And we must respect the sovereignty of Ukraine. And Umamu Naledi Pando was saying, but why do you guys not respect the sovereignty of Palestine? Why do you guys not respect certain sovereignties when certain things are happening? It's not to say that we support Russia. South Africa currently, officially, politically, is being diplomatic. Look, we don't condemn any killing. We don't condemn any taking of people's territory. But we're also not condemning because they have their own politics, you know. But when an America, when a UK, who have been known for slavery, who have been known, America, I've said before, is currently been bombing on Somalia with Joe Biden, Iraq, Afghanistan, Iran. They sanction nations. There's no crimes against humanity there. There's no International Criminal Court. There's no UN Security Council there. There, it's fine. When Russia tries to do the same thing that they deem to be right, America and the UK wants to dictate that you must act. They must dictate. No, Chweneyagae. So I really enjoyed seeing that clip from Umam Naledi Pando, and it's right. I know that our government sometimes flip-flops. I know I criticize Umam Naledi, Cyril Ramaphosa and the like, but we are smart enough and sober enough to be able to applaud them when we feel they are saying the right thing.
With that,
So-
also I'll throw in another compliment for Uchuchu,
Yeah.
because he also said a similar comment
Yeah,
to say that the ICC, the International Criminal Court, are hypocrites.
of course.
That we still have Obama and imthanda kangaka,
And George Bush, by the way.
Obulale Gaddafi, who's your African leader,
Yeah,
who was working on uniting Africa with an African currency. And right now we see BRICS going that route
yeah.
of trading amongst one another. No, Saudi Arabia is joining. Well, Saudi Arabia is on the fence, but it looks like it might be.
Moving more away from the US dollar for their oil, yeah.
Mexico is joining BRICS as well.
Yeah.
So you can see that the power structure is
There's
changing.
a power shift
There's a
that's
shift.
currently happening, if you guys are not aware.
And America is obviously not happy about it.
Of course.
So I just wanted to throw in that compliment to Uchuchu as well.
No, thank you. I think I'll just stop there with Umam Naledi Pando. I hope people will go and check that clip out. It's nice to have an opinion. And at the end of the day, the most important thing with having an opinion on Russia, Ukraine, the United Kingdom, America, Saudi Arabia, even Uganda, which is next. How does it impact you and your family and your community? What are your values? You know, we're quick to jump, but we were under apartheid not too long ago. And there were certain nations that kept quiet and said, it's South African law, asingeni, asingene. And then there were other people that were saying, no, that's wrong. But how does it impact you? How does it impact us to favor America, to favor Russia? Does it help us as South Africans? Does it help us with what's happening in Zimbabwe? Does it disadvantage us? And that should help guide you as a nation at least, and as a family and as people. So I think I'll stop there for that.
So we'll have another episode to dissect the homosexuality Ugandan issue.
I really hope so. So the EFF went to march at the Uganda embassy against the proposed bill. I believe it's a proposed bill. I don't think it's been signed as into a law, but the squatters will let me know if I'm wrong. They want to be more severe on criminalizing homosexuality. What I mean by more severe is this. I stand to be corrected, but there are 34 countries in Africa where being gay, being homosexual is a crime. One of them being our neighbors, Zimbabwe. one of them being Nigeria. There are another arguably 33 nations around the world. Some of them are favorites, or Jamaica, where being homosexual is a crime. Other nations as well. That's not to say every other nation is pro-homosexuality and is fine. It just means it's not a crime. It might be deemed immoral and wrong. But those nations, the ones I'm mentioning, I think 67 of them, it's a crime. So if you are caught being gay, whatever that means, maybe you're kissing another man if you're a man, maybe if you're a woman, you're caught having lesbian sex, as an example, you are arrested.
But how do you know if somebody is gay or lesbian?
No, that's what I'm saying, whatever that means. Because they see you guys kissing. Maybe, you're Italian. So you're traveling in a country, you see another Italian guy, you kiss him on the cheek. So, hey, what are you doing? So, hey, that's not allowed here. What's not allowed? Kissing another man on the cheek. Why not? I'm greeting him. You're like, no, here, man must not kiss another man, as an example. So, but in terms of seeing you as a person, yes. I mean, it was one of the things that Julius said in his speech. Wood, how do you know if someone's gay? And he poked at, which I don't approve of, because it's very dangerous. He poked at Museveni saying, what if Museveni is gay? And he comes out later saying, I've only discovered myself now that I'm gay. So we don't know of surface level. It's not like racial discrimination where we look at your skin with you look black, because it became funny with coloreds and those people. I mean, Meghan Markle, who's married to Prince Harry, kind of situation. So with Uganda, part of their laws are saying, so anyways, I was just saying 67 countries, it's a crime. Other nations, they look, we're indifferent. South Africa, I think, is meant to be a safe space legally, politically, but on the ground, it's probably a different story. Because we've had a lot of homophobic incidents in this country. People have been beaten up. Some people have been killed. There's what's called corrective rape, which I hate even that term, where lesbians are raped because men are maybe it's because you've never slept with a man. So Uganda's saying some of the penalties 5 to 10 years if you're caught. Then they have something called aggravated homosexuality, which they want to punish with death by killing those people. Qatar, funny enough, that just recently hosted the Soccer World Cup, criminalizes homosexuality as well.
And a lot of Middle Eastern countries.
A lot of Middle Eastern countries which have Islamic Sharia law. Part of the criticisms that people are raising with the EFF is Russia's also criminalized homosexuality. So why did you not march to the Russian embassy? Why did you not speak out with what was happening in Qatar and maybe demand that certain African nations shouldn't go play there in solidarity with the LGBTQI plus community? It's a very deep, detailed conversation. And what I mean by that is this. I personally feel South Africa is a homophobic nation. Just because, you look at our constitution. Our constitution serves certain people. I don't think it's something that the majority of South Africans believe in. I've said before that I think we have a sham democracy. I think the bulk of South Africans are homophobic. A lot of people don't know what homophobia is. They're like, no, I'm not homophobic. They must do their thing. The reality is homophobia is like racism. It's a prejudice. What that means is if you don't want your kids or you have an issue with your kids being like that, if you would not hire someone like that, if you feel funny about someone like that, that means you're homophobic. You don't have to hit them. You don't have to swear at them. You don't have to whatever. You just have to have a negative bias to those people. There are people now that have issues with gender labeling and identity. And I think in South Africa, there are people very vocal on social media saying, hey, it's fine you being gay, but don't come now tell my son that he might be a girl. Don't come and tell me, Uti, this person with a penis identifies as a woman. That is part of the LGBTQI plus community and part of the things they're fighting for, gender identity. And those are some of the things the Ugandan and other African nations, those are some of the things they're criminalizing. They're saying, we're not going to let you identify as whatever you want. What is homosexuality? What is homophobia? What is being gay? What is being lesbian? What is bisexual? What is being transgender? What is changing your Dwayne Wade, his wife Gabrielle Union? They've got a child. It's Dwayne Wade's child, but it's Inganya Gabrielle as the wife as well. They've got a child who I think identifies as a girl, but was born with male reproductive organs. So those become conversations. Charlize Theron, South African star in Hollywood, who adopted This triggered a lot of black people. Adopted, I think, 2 black children who were black boys who now dress up as girls, who identify as girls. And they're like, you see, this is a white agenda to feminize and to demasculinize men and whatever, the attack on the black man. So it's a very layered conversation. But Julius was standing with the EFF saying, look, we stand in solidarity with the LGBTQI plus community in South Africa and in Uganda, and we feel what's happening is wrong. There were many people that stood up in solidarity with us when we were fighting against the apartheid government. And we want to stand up in solidarity with people that we feel are having their human rights violated. You know, it's controversial because so many people are on different sides of the fence. And so many people are never going to speak because they're scared of losing their jobs, of being cancelled. A lot of the celebrities are going to pretend to be pro-LGBTQI, but banamang, they're actually homophobic in private and in other spaces. They're just scared of losing the bag, you know, which becomes another conversation. You know, how many black people back in the day were standing in solidarity with the apartheid governments because they were scared of losing their lives, of being branded a certain way, etc. So it becomes a mess. Is the EFF using this as a campaigning tool for 2024? We're not sure. Because some people are saying, but why is government, which has an LGBTQI plus community desk, why are they not saying anything? Why is the ANC not saying anything? So it almost now becomes but why is it a political party thing? Just stand up for what's right. Because that's what the EFF wanted with the national shutdown. You don't have to be EFF. You're struggling with load shedding. You have an issue with government corruption. So come support us. We want Cyril removed. So now don't make it a political thing as well, you know. But it's complicated.
Yeah.
It is complicated and it's not a comfortable conversation, particularly because on the platforms we're on, we're not free. On a YouTube, on a Facebook, on an Instagram, we cannot freely express ourselves around topics like the LGBTQI plus community because we will get cancelled. The video will be taken down. I saw a lot of gay celebrities, influencers, people like Aldrian Sampier, who's an amazing media personality, someone like Eusebius Makaiser that we've had here, were applauding the EFF, you know, for what they did. But are they only applauding them when it suits their agenda? When it's another agenda they don't like, are they then going to bash the EFF and say, no, what are they saying about borders? And then the next people who are comfortable with the borders being removed are like, thank you to the EFF. It's tricky. These conversations are tricky, but they affect us. And for me, it is important that we have these conversations because if we, the ordinary citizens, do not raise our voices, even if you are homophobic, if you do not raise your voice, someone out there will speak on your behalf and you may not enjoy the decision that they make. It's what happened with colonization, with apartheid. It's what happens with the land issue in this country, what happens with our economy. It's what happened with the COVID and the vaccine and the lockdown. It's what happens with geopolitics. It's what happens with the shift from an American dollar to a ruble to a yuan. It's what happens with the borders, with immigrants, legal or otherwise. It's what's happening with education in our children's schools. The education that's happening out there. They're going to be teaching the children. It's happened. I've spoken to some of my kids in school. They're teaching them about alternative sexualities. They're teaching them about different gender identities. If you don't have a voice, someone will decide on your behalf. And you will come later to come and complain like Afrikaans, June 76. Because you weren't vocal then, and your children will take to the streets, and your children might end up being gunned down, and it will be too late to be angry. Too late. You know what I mean? So we need to have these conversations, but at the end of the day, the conversations must be about building, about not harming people's personal choices that don't hurt anyone. It must be on the spirit of building a better world for everyone and not hurting, harming, destroying people who are mature and who are hurting no one for their decisions and who are also, very importantly, not shoving their agendas down the throats of young people and other people who may not identify with their values. I love the Muslim Council in South Africa. They are very big on, and I'm not saying I support what they stand for, but they are like, from an Islamic perspective, this is what the Quran prescribes. And we don't hate anyone who is gay. We don't. We hate what they call the sin of being gay. That's the Islamic Quran. Christians who have to quote the Bible are meant to be on the same, but some of them are conflicted. We had the Pope who was openly saying, look, let these people be. which becomes a confliction. But what do your values say culturally, religiously? Where do you stand? Where do you lie? And let's have the conversation, because if we do not, someone will, a UN, a World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, someone will come and say, this was something we discussed with Eusebius last year when we sat on the Hustlers Corner. Someone will come back and say, being gay is an illness of sort, which the Qatari leadership said with the World Cup, that if you're gay, it's a damage to the mind. Someone will come and say that, and I said this to Eusebius, and Eusebius was saying, part of the concern is that if ever, let's say, a World Health Organization deems it an illness, someone will want to correct it through medicine. And that becomes a problem now. And it becomes murky because we don't want to speak about it. So we have to speak about these things and find a way forward.
I think this should have been the introduction. Easter Monday today. How was your Easter weekend? I know we're wrapping it up. It's at the end, but what did you do? Good
I
Friday?
hate that we record this before the time. I hate it so much. So yeah, this is dropping on Easter Monday, and
did you go to Newcastle? You're just enjoying the whole Easter. Do you celebrate Easter?
We shoot this before it drops.
Do you celebrate Easter?
No, I'm not religious, so I don't celebrate Easter. And this is another conversation. This actually should have been the conversation.
Yeah. This should have been
the conversation on Easter and religion and paganism and a rabbit that lays colorful eggs. Rabbits don't lay eggs. And a Jesus who dies on a cross but gets eaten as the body of Christ, and the blood of Jesus that gets drunk. Those are the conversations that we're meant to be having.
Let's have it next week on the next day.
Easter weekend for me is Easter School's Rugby Festival. King Edward School, Kes in Houghton, St. John's College, Houghton, sizzling rugby. And then in Randburg, Bryanston, St. Stithians, they host sensational rugby festival. I'm normally there having Boerewors rolls, watching the best of schoolboy rugby around the same time. Shout out.
What do you call it? Rugby first. But
look, it's a rugby festival, a premium rugby festival in the premium schools of Johannesburg. I don't know if they still have it. Kersney College in Durban had another amazing Easter festival as well. There's a new rugby festival called the Noordsite. Yes, okay, must call me Afrikaans with because these are English. Kersney is an English school. St. Stithians, St. John's, Kes are English schools. Then there's a Noordsite Rugby Fees by Afrikaanse Science Hoërskool in Pretoria. Affis. They've come up with a new festival. It was at Affis this year. I went to go and watch that. The best schools in the country. They just didn't have the Eastern Cape schools, I think because of technicalities. They will be available, I think, next year. It's going to be a traveling festival and the best schools in the country, man. I used to worship rugby. My mom was a single mom from a financial perspective and from a Kulisa perspective. She was a school teacher. So it's thanks to my single mother. But we still, obviously, our hearts and souls are still the Ekasi, where I was born, by the way. But rugby was a religion for me. I was a decent rugby player. A lot of the guys I've networked with, a lot of my business relationships, my political relationships. The reason I can crack jokes with certain rich white people comfortably is because I've been in spaces. I mean, Tlantla Lux is similar to me. He went to St. David's in Inanda, which is down the road from here, 011, Rosebank Gin and Eatery. Down Rivonia, Oxford, Rivonia, Inanda, going to Santon. We can speak very comfortably. Asibasabo Ngamla, we're not scared of white people. We don't have an inferiority complex that maybe some of our elders had. We're not scared to call them out for their bullshit. We can crack the jokes. Some of them are jokes. Joba atuno ungizo mkhunu. Inkosi yamapinga. Kona ma jokes esikwazi ukwashana abantu bakwaZulu, Stelelane, skwarane, hey, phela mina ngaphihliza ikhali, hey wena, we have that type of ability with the whiter side of life, where when you sit with a rich white person, he can, you fucking can't, fuck you, fuck you. But, it's Tugan, and you're swearing at this guy. You're like, no, it's a boys' school lingo, type of situation. And I appreciated it. But Easter's normally that for me. Rugby, man. My brother had. Now we spoke about it another time. He had his thing with his boy Uzita Nuntanzia, father and sons, which was at St. John's. Very beautiful school, by the way. If people have never seen it, and it just reminds me. And this was another conversation we're meant to have. I don't know if we have time. I don't know if we have 10 minutes.
We're done now. No, let's wrap it up.
Wrap it up. Yeah. But I wanted to speak about Lenta Tuish, about all the sponsors on the paper.
Oh, yeah.
And these schools.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe let me just say this.
Summarize it.
I'm hoping in future that the MOFAYAs of this world, the Batus, the Drips of this world, like an Afis, where Marcus Yoster actually went to school. I think he donated like millions to the school. Pretoria Boys High, prestigious school where Elon Musk went to school. People like Chilipoy Ralepele as well, who was the first and the youngest black captain for the Springboks. Schools like Hilton, where Uputi, Usandile Zungu went to school, and I think Robert Marawa, Ricky Rick went to school. Schools like, I mentioned St. John's, where AKA went to school. St. Stithians, Kabelo Mabalane went to school. Zwai Bala as well. I hope that the black businesses of today are going to be able to become the sponsors of some of the Ekasi schools in future. So that those schools can also become prestigious as well.
We've already started. Yeah. We sponsor a lot of Ekasi netball and Ekasi soccer.
That's dope.
Yeah, but we're going to grow in it.
Also down the road here, man, Future Nation Schools founded by Sizwe Nxasana and Dr. Judy Dlamini. You know, they had a son at St. John's, but he passed away, by the way. May he rest in peace as well. But they've built schools, Future Nation Schools, and they are pioneering and cheering.
They're my role models.
Yeah, they're too dope. They focus, they're professional. Oh, they are home. Cheers. One day is one day. One day is one day. But yeah, man, I'm hoping the schools will become that. And it inspires me and it reminds me to give back to my schools. Newcastle High School, Newcastle Senior Primary, Chelmsford, Arbor Park Primary, etc. And I hope more and more of us can do the same. Paul Rues Gymnasium, which has produced the most Springboks. Johan Rupert went there. Justin Stanford went there as well. He's a tech entrepreneur. Last I checked, they had an all boys fund, which had over 100 million rand. They don't even use that money. They invest it and then they chow dividends. And they buy talent like Damian Willemse, who's a Springbok today. People like Skalk Brits. These guys won the Rugby World Cup, by the way. You look at the school like Grey College in Bloemfontein, which is known as the best school on the African continent. These are public schools. These are not private schools. These are government schools. Grey College in Bloemfontein. It's the best rugby school in the world. Last I checked, they had over 100 million rand as an all-boys fund as well. They've become dual medium. They used to be Afrikaans. Now they have English. A school like Grey High School in PE, Westville Boys in Durban, Cares, JP, Glenwood, Maritzburg College. Those prestigious schools need to be studied so that Ikolos Ekasi and people from Ekasi can be like, how do we start a small fund and an old boys, old girls culture where we put in 100 rand a year? These things I call AfriForum. And in those schools, we build these centers. If you ever get a chance, guys, please visit these schools and look at the businesses that are on campus. Look at their sports facilities. That is money from parents, you know. And what I've said, and maybe this will be my parting shot, Ekasi, set up vegetable gardens in the township schools so that people that are hungry can take from the school and the kids can learn how to plant their own food. Set up chicken pens there, chicken runs, so that they can have eggs and the like. Plant fruit trees, that's kids must be able to get food from the trees. And then install a spaza shop in that school that is for the school. And get all the parents that send their kids to that school to buy from that spaza shop. So that even if they don't have money, if they buy from that spaza shop, all the profits from that spaza shop will be invested in their child's education. And once the spaza shop grows, you can have a mini supermarket at the shop. It can maybe turn into a shisanyama, car wash, car mechanic workshop in the school so that jobs are created here and money circulates in the school and then goes out into the community instead of going to what we call Stellenbosch businesses and what we call foreign-owned spaza shops in your community where the money goes to enriching their communities instead of your own. I think in Zoivala.
Have a great week. Thank
Guys,
you.
have a great week. We appreciate. We love you very much. Don't forget to support the Hustlers Corner as well next door. Keep sharing our content and keep educating us as well, and hold us to account. Something that we struggle to do with our political and our business leadership. Hold us to account. If you guys would like us to discuss certain topics, to drop on different days, to bring certain guests, to do things a certain way, please let us know. But we will also hold you to account. And what that means is, if you have a little bit of money, please become a paying member. Please share our content. Please like, please subscribe, please speak about us. Please take some of the clips that are educational and share them on various platforms, and let us become a platform that builds society and communities in a positive way.
Love you guys. Have a great week. Danke san.
Cheers.